What are you talking about?
Baby shark. You don't know this?
She's not surrounded by babies.
What country do you live in?
Not the terrible one that
Okay,
you do.
That's unprofessional, but we see we have a group now. You're live. Okay.
All right.
Introduce yourselves. This is we're in the Veritasium suite at
World CryptoCon. So this is the first official podcast for Satoshi's Angels, which is Len and Jackie's podcast.
Hello.
And we have all of these awesome content creators here with us. So Tatiana, why don't you start off just a brief introduction, and then we'll just kind of go down the line.
Sure. My name's Tatiana Moroz. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm also the CEO and founder of Crypto Media Hub, a marketing and PR agency in the space. But I also have a podcast called The Tatiana Show, and a second one coming out called Proof of Love.
Awesome. And my name is Erin Nakamoto, and I do several different marketing projects. I'm involved in Block 16. .io, which is a token venture studio here in Las Vegas. That's my primary job, I guess, title. And I recently started this podcast with Jackie, and I was super excited to do it. So, Jackie?
Yeah, awesome. Hi, I'm Jacqueline, Satoshi Proof on Twitter. I am currently working on a government campaign here in Nevada for Ryan Bundy, who is running for governor of Nevada. I also host local meetups here in Las Vegas for people who want to learn about cryptocurrencies and how they can invest in the space and also how to basically secure their wealth. We also own a media company where we make comics, music, and yeah, that's basically it.
So my name is Cardiff Gerhardt, boyfriend of Jack Navajaz, and
Nice identity.
Yeah.
She does that all the time.
it had to be said, it had to be introduced.
Love it.
Proud man.
I found Ryan Bundy looking for a candidate for governor who could actually make some change, and joined his grassroots organization, became campaign director, and that's been my main focus for the past couple of months. And once that's done, I'll get back into the exciting, early booming crypto space to produce entrepreneurial ventures that bring value to the marketplace.
My name is Josh Searson. I run World Alternative Media, one of the world's fastest growing independent medias, and I basically talk about free markets, cryptocurrencies, freedom in general, and give people solutions to all the problems that scare us, as so many media scare us but don't give us solutions.
I'm Jacob Markel. I actually don't do anything in the crypto space whatsoever. My business is entirely separate, so I'm sort of a impartial, behind-the-scenes networking gadfly who speaks his mind and doesn't really have anything to lose.
I'm Sasha Hodder. I'm a partner in DLT Law Group based in Tampa, Florida, and I also host the HODLcast, where it's a podcast primarily on regulation issues around the cryptocurrency space.
Hi, my name is Marilyn, and I'm part of the Veritasium team, head of AML compliance.
My name is Reggie Middleton, founder of Veritasium. Quick disclaimer: opinions and views held by others at this table don't necessarily reflect Veritasium on my own.
Yes.
Great.
Okay, everybody, let's not be shy.
Come on in.
Hi, I'm Lorna Johnson, and I'm Director of Global Trade and Investment.
Just give yourself a promotion. This is not shy one here. You don't have to worry about that.
My name is Jeff Tabak, and I'm co-CEO of Veritasium Securities, LLC.
My name is Eleanor Reed, and I'm the head of operations for Veritasium.
All right. So now that we got all of the introductions out of the way, we just wanted to talk briefly about what you guys thought about World CryptoCon. So Tatiana, do you want to go first?
Sure. So I wait, what am I supposed to say?
I mean,
feel like I'm going to be the opening act, and I don't know which direction we're going, because I know that there's been some criticism of the event.
Right.
So I don't want to necessarily open with that, but
why don't you start off with what you thought went well?
What's your experience of the event? Like, you did 3 days, and how do you feel about it overall?
I think that there's a lot of really great people being brought together. I thought that there were a lot of vendors. I think it's been really very challenging for the crypto space throughout this bear market for the full year, you know, especially with conferences, because the interest was really there in the beginning of the year, and then to kind of deliver that consistently when interest has waned, frankly, in crypto, I think that that's really challenging.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you know, there seems to have been a lot of things in this conference that made me want to yell, the socialists are coming, the socialists are coming, because there was a lot of policing of thought, and especially of the media. There were a lot of accusations, maybe some others can give us more details, but saying that, for example, Ben Swan was invited and then uninvited because he's, you know, bad media. I don't even know what they're calling him, fake news. I mean, Ben Swan has Emmys, and he's an amazing journalist. There was also some blocking of other people, and then there's safe spaces. And, you know, I think it's a sort of an interesting balance that you have to strike, because, you know, you've got all different kinds of people going on, and you don't want any creeps. But then at the same time, you're saying you need a safe space, but then there's a girl, one of the booth girls, wearing basically a G-string, literally writhing around on the floor. So I need a safe space, and I don't know.
Where was she?
But see, like, that kind of a joke doesn't fly. And to me, one of the things that's really cool about cryptocurrency is that it allows people to be themselves and to be free. And sort of coming from a libertarian background, you know, we used to be.
I don't want to have to ban you for hate speech. So.
Yeah, so I don't want to have any hate speech, but I'm just saying, like, I think that the spirit of crypto is sort of being muddled by all of these sort of other ideas of kind of protecting people and banning people. Censorship isn't crypto to me. That's not why I got involved in the space. So I guess that would be my criticism.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, well, I hope that I'm as honest as the other people. They're going to be like, it was wonderful.
Everybody remember, you're streaming live. Okay.
Oh, well then, there
If
goes
you don't
that.
mind me
I don't know if
throwing in
that's
some personal experience with this whole situation. So I've been to hundreds of events, and I've never been turned down for a press pass until this one, and okay, fine. So I deal with that one step at a time, but the reason for that being was I have the banner alternative media. And because I have the banner alternative media, I was told that basically I'm tied in with Nazis and bigots, which I found really strange coming from an event that's talking about decentralization, etc. But with that said, that's my personal experience. It wasn't good, but with the individuals that came to the conference, that was a different story altogether, because I've met incredible people here and a lot of incredible people that are working hard in this space to promote their projects, to create new innovations on the market, which is really important. And I think that needs to be focused on, but we shouldn't look the other way as well when there are clearly steps being made to say, oh, well, come in, CNBC Crypto, but alternative media, independent media, stay out because obviously you're all a bunch of Nazis and bigots, which is something I heard also from one of the people involved here, which was that anyone who is on something like Steemit or D2 is, well, in one way or another, a Nazi. And I find that
Wow,
the kind of thing that you hear and maybe
Did they actually use those words?
And
Yes.
you're talking about things that you heard from the organizers.
Yes,
Right.
from
They
one of
actually
the
use those words.
They actually use those
In
words.
print or, I mean,
In a
text?
message.
A
In a
sourceable-
message.
I would hold on to that message. I think
Yeah,
that's very
I found it very strange
powerful.
because I've heard this kind of stuff from like liberal conventions and stuff like that, but I haven't heard anything
For a
like this from a
crypto
cryptocurrency.
convention.
Well,
Yeah.
a good thing to follow up with our live viewers would be a source to these claims.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so a source to these claims, well, I have screenshots.
Well, let's say because not only we streaming live, but we
Yeah.
stream live on a financial and a fintech channel. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you can put your experiences in, but let's keep that short. I don't want the subject matter of the actual video to be.
I just
But,
think
you know,
that we in
you
this
know-
community need to be open arms to people and inviting to people, and I think that's very important. And I think that the organization of the event was good in the sense that we have a lot of great people speaking their own minds and
Sure,
promoting their own.
But this,
And
this
exhibitors.
podcast here, you know, Reggie's podcast, Reggie's live stream, it would be, this is the open invitation, this is the calm, quiet room,
Mhm.
and many species. So let's focus on the financials.
Yeah, well, of course, I gotta.
let's-
And for the record, I
That
agree
was
with
the
you.
whole point of
Right.
what we were
As long as
supposed to
you're not
talk about, with
disruptive,
censorship.
and as long as you don't.
Let's talk about the financials.
Okay, or the technology.
Let's just quickly go around the table, and my estimate is, I saw maybe, I would guess 700 people here, 700 attendees. Does anybody disagree with that?
I think that's about right.
About right?
It's hard
Yeah,
to tell because it
that's-
was over multiple
Okay.
floors.
Is that right? Out of those 700, World CryptoCon said they have about 150 booths, 150 exhibitors, right? Average number of employees per exhibit, 3, let's say. So do the math, that's about 450 plus whatever, promoters and so on and so forth. Let's say 500 of those people really shouldn't be counted as attendees. So we're talking about 200 attendees.
Sorry, I can't. That,
It's not a
that
good
does
value
for the
for
assumptions,
sponsors,
That's
but
not
I
a good
think it's
value
hard
for
to meet
sponsor.
that, but that happens
Especially
in
when
a
they're
lot
being
of
told
places.
5,000, 6,000 attendees.
Of course.
Right.
And they're spending, as much as $150,000 for an exhibit booth. I feel horrible for people that have spent so much money for
How much per exhibit?
as much as $150,000 for an exhibit booth.
List price. We
List-
don't know what
list
they're
price. I
paying.
don't know what was negotiated, but certainly people paid a lot of money. I know personally people that have spent near $30,000 for the year.
Have you talked to the
So-
event coordinator?
I'm sorry?
Have you talked to the event coordinator?
About,
This?
Well, we did speak to him, and
He's running a loss.
They,
He's running this event at a loss.
they actually registered 2,300, but gave out 4,400 badges. So I think part of the visual was that we're on 4 different floors.
Right.
And it was hard to estimate really because
well,
we
and
weren't.
that's another thing, as an exhibitor, you're paying for exposure, and people who paid a lot of money for a booth were stuck in what they described to me, it literally these exact words, oh, the back corner of the basement, right? And you spent $30,000 to be here, and no one's gonna even see you, even if there were 6,000 people here, right? Because you're just
Well, let me jump in to
downstairs,
be
and
fair.
I feel like that
He's
was-
not here. He's not here to get his side of the story, and that's sort of again off the core topic of the channel. So I always started streaming. So our channel is more investment oriented, finance, etc.
So what I'm saying is that as an investor or as somebody that's in the crypto space, I think that there needs to be a lot more vetting of what conferences you're going to and where you're going to put your money for. If you're coming here for leads, you want to make connections with people that can develop your business, right? And spending $15,000 for a lead is really not a very good business model. So I think we have to hold conference organizers accountable for actually putting on conferences that create value.
Well, the way you hold them accountable is you don't give them any money.
Right.
So.
But then it's too late. For example, there was a conference in Warsaw that I did. This guy, David Kustra, he put it on, and one of my clients had given them money for sponsorship, and they gave it to them in Ether. And they were supposed to have a speaking slot and all these things. And the day before the conference, we realized they didn't even put them on the schedule. They didn't have their logo, nothing. And so they went back to the conference and they asked for their money back. And instead of refunding the exact amount of Ether, they wanted to give it to them back in cash.
Right.
Because the Ether had gone, let's say, from 3,000 to like 11,000. So they wanted to pocket that money. And then only give them back the $3 or whatever it was. And then it took them about 4 months to give it back. So something that is a practical thing that I think I would suggest to people sponsoring conferences is, unfortunately, don't pay with crypto. Because it's a lot easier to get your money back if you're paying with a different format, because we had nothing. And that's the thing, I thought it was gonna be a good conference, and it wasn't. And it's not always easy to do your research about different conferences, and also we all have very limited bandwidth. So, it's really unfortunate, but having a good contract with the conference would also be very helpful. But they don't really care, a lot of times I've been to, I was in this conference, the blockchain cruise, and some of the sponsors were really, really disappointed, and basically the conference people did nothing to help them. So here they are sponsoring, spending all this money, and the conference people don't care. So I think you have to kind of try and mitigate it before you spend the money as much as you can, because contracts aren't necessarily the best, but at least there's something.
So moral to the story: pay your BE gold and do your homework. So this is weighted a little heavily towards complaining about the conference, though. So we're gonna have to move to other topics somewhere tangential to the subject matter at hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that this was specifically why we were coming to this room, which I have to talk about the conference. So I'm just like a little bit.
Well, we can talk about the
confused.
conference, but the conference also has security tokens, utility tokens, business models, mining, etc. So I understand.
Right.
And I'm not defending the conference sponsors, but A, they're not here. Okay, and that's not the framework I would prefer. I like both sides of the story. And B, for people to complain, you got the message of it, right? Fair enough?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's fair.
Great.
Okay.
Something good I'll say is I really did enjoy the being able to headline Lynn Albrecht in her fight to free Ross. That was really good.
Yeah.
It's always good to see when she's able to get her message out and she's able to talk about the petition to free Ross. And it's always good when you can get her on stage and maybe tell a new swath of people who haven't yet heard in one way or another about the Free Ross campaign, what has happened to Ross Albrecht over the last several years, which is entirely unjust. It's always good to see her given the stage and the ability to talk to different people.
Agreed.
And for the support of the community.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Tatiana,
And I love the
you're-
artwork around that too. So, you know, I've been doing, you know, I did music for Ross with the Silk Road song, but it's really cool as all of this time has passed, just the growing interest actually in the creative community. And there was a Silk Road art piece done, I believe it's by Veso, I want to say the name, I hope it's correct. But we did an interview with him earlier today, and it's just cool to see the artistic community coming together at this event specifically. I've definitely noticed a lot of that, and I think that's really cool and fun.
Nice.
And there's definitely a fun element to the conference as well.
There were
And
a
they
lot of
also
really
fed us,
interesting
which never
Oh
happens.
my gosh, that was awesome. Yeah, like the
All day.
It was great. And they had vegan options too, which I very much appreciate.
Can we finish introductions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did.
Oh,
Yeah.
as far as a personal introduction, but not live stream.
Well, do you want to say something?
Oh,
Yeah, you have the floor. You have the floor.
sure. Okay. Hi, my name is Cardiff Gerhardt, CEO of CVM, Crypto vs. Metals. And I guess I'd just like to make a point that we have quite a diverse mix of financial and creative influencers in this room. And it's we're going all over the place as far as having a structure. I think the best thing that we should do, since this is Reggie's room, is talk about Veritasium. And
Good idea.
well, I gotta tell you, man, I'm incredibly infatuated with the project. I found it since following Cliff High, and it's.
I didn't realize that was the context. I'm sure it's good, but I don't want to lend credit to something that I don't know about.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden it feels like a promo thing, and while I appreciate being in there, that wasn't what I signed up for.
I understand.
Yeah.
You have to go, I understand.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tatiana.
Okay, so I really wish you would have had a booth, and I see that as being a very valuable asset. But I gotta commend you, man. You are a macro level thinker. You understand the global markets unlike anyone else. And what I see when I see you live is you explain this very well to an institutional investor and a banker. And I wanted to clear concepts that I've only been able to think about from watching your videos and seeing reports on your business. And that is that Veritasium is a macro level market that uses an ERC20 token to tokenize assets, whether it's stocks, which would put you on par with New York Stock Exchange, commodities, and real estate. And so you are really the first central or decentralized market of institutional assets that can be transferred peer-to-peer, and there's no one in the space that is doing what you're doing. And you're on the verge of tokenizing high-rises that need to go for sale and are not going to need the institutional route to find buyers.
I think, look, I just change a little semantics. So we tokenize value, and many times value represents an asset, but they could be murky. You could tokenize your privacy. You can download your Google history. Let's suppose you were Donald Trump. Imagine downloading Donald Trump's Google history. You could go into Google backend and do that with one button, by the way. You would zip it, download it, and then we could sell that as value, tokenize it. You know, so that can be considered an asset, but it is valuable to many people, particularly maybe the opposition, party, etc. You could do intellectual property. You could say buildings, stocks, etc. We The stock exchange wouldn't be our competitor in creating these assets. It would be the underwriters, the banks, investment banks, the boutiques, etc. But we could potentially compete with an exchange by facilitating the transfer of value from A to B to C to D without going through necessarily having to go through an exchange.
Are you saying the New York,
Centralizing the market.
Distributing.
Right.
are you saying the New York Stock Exchange has two functions? One is to create the IPOs, and the second is to have that exchange.
No, the exchange primary business model is exchanging assets and then taking a fee for it. Okay, secondary business model is selling data about the exchange of these assets. Okay, you don't have to go through a centralized hub to do that anymore. The whole premise of securities law is premised upon, I hate to use the word twice, the need to go through centralized parties and special organizations that enable you to trade value. The blockchain enables you to do it yourself. So there is really no difference between private and public assets now, because any private person can trade publicly, either one-to-one, many-to-one, or one-to-many. And public entities can now do a private transaction through the same system without having to pay for it. That system's a blockchain.
The way I see Veritasium is that the token will be locked into a tie to the value of whatever asset you're creating. Does that mean that you have the who tokenizes the asset? How do you make sure that there's not a double spend?
We will tokenize the asset. Let me explain it. Hold your cup.
Sure.
Okay. So with the blockchain is this road. This road goes everywhere. It goes from this room to the room over there, to Reno, to Arizona, to New York, across the oceans to Russia, China, and potentially to space. And this token rides on those rails and it goes along these roads for pennies. Okay, this is a token. Now we're going to tokenize that phone. How do we do it? Put the phone in the cup, and now the phone rides along these rails.
But the token has to go
phone does
through
not physically
Veritasium.
move to the blockchain, but the title of the phone, the ownership of the phone, the verification of ownership of the phone can be transferred very easily.
It all depends on what the phone is. If you have a digital phone,
It's a digital asset that.
Yeah, it could be a native digital asset.
Right.
It could be a
It could be
digitized
a
asset.
physical asset, it could be a house that doesn't move anywhere, but the ownership token can be transferred from one owner to the next owner. very
And
easily.
that's the same way things are done right now. You have deed to the house. The deed is a piece of paper, right? Represented by paper. Now we see the digitized deed. We give it extra powers.
What is the differentiating characteristic of Veritasium versus, let's say, simply using colored coins on a stack on, let's say, the Bitcoin blockchain or something like that?
Well, color coins are big coins that have metadata put in to identify XYZ. But Bitcoin and Ethereum are very, very different. Ethereum has a programming language full Turing, which means you could write recursive loops and do many more things. If-then statements, if-then else statements. Bitcoin script is basically non-Turing. You go and identify things, you can't write a full program. But without getting technical, it doesn't really matter what platform you use. The key is the business model that you create for the platform.
Well,
Ethereum
the reason I asked that is because I know that, for example, a company like Ubiquity has been doing something similar to also title on Bitcoin, on the Bitcoin blockchain. For some time.
We looked into color coins, and the color coins, that's old technology. Think of AOL versus Google. Okay, so Bitcoin and color coins are AOL, and Ethereum would be Google, and then you have the next generation, Ethereum 2.0, plus you have the Stellars and all the other competitors, EOS, etc. What we do, I'm going to decide to give me an example, because this always works. We tokenize gold. This is, what? Don't drop it. You gotta say it so everybody can hear.
1 kilo
Of
gold.
1 kilo of 99.9% gold.
Can I
Oh,
borrow
go take my
that?
token. You take the token, you take this gold, you drop it in the cup. Okay, is there anything in it? That's nasty. You drop it in the cup, and it rides along the blockchain. Now, this gold, if you buy it in bulk, you get, say, 1,000 kilos of gold. That would be 1,022.22 thousand pounds, roughly, okay, of gold. Very difficult to carry this around to the store, okay, very difficult to give to your grandchildren. You can digitize or veritize this gold, create tokens out of it, and I use my cell phone and I can send it to you.
You can fractionalize those tokens down to.
You can fractionalize them as well. Right. You can go away, it has 18 decimal points of granularity.
But you're not going to put a chip into that and make sure that the chip rides everywhere the gold does. There's a process where that piece of gold has a tokenization process where Veritasium is taken and locked into tied to that piece of gold, and then it trades on the market, and when it's sold, new owners then have that gold. It's still being physically moved.
It doesn't move from, it's in a vault.
Yeah, but not this gold. Now you're discussing, there's allocated gold, and then there's specific ownership.
So the ones that you're specifically talking about will be ones in vaults.
Right, allocated though. So when I sell the gold via the tokens, I don't sell this bar. I sell 1 kilogram of 99.99% pure gold. I don't tell you which kilogram of bar you're gonna get. You'll get 1 kilogram worth of
Gold is like
0.9995. Exactly.
The authority to do that, is that something that is requiring like an SEC license, a securities license?
No, this is private ownership, private title, private property. Okay, so and I actually don't like discussing regulatory issues because it's a no-win situation. No matter how accurate and right you are, there's always something for a regulator to come back.
None of us are lawyers, we know what they're gonna do.
So, but the way this works as title to gold. So if you go to a gold dealer, you purchase a title of gold, they give you a receipt, and that receipt represents the purchase of the gold. You ask them to store it in a vault, then they give you another receipt that says it's in this vault. You pay for your insurance, your security, etc. These paper receipts we're replacing the paper receipts with ERC token, 20 token. But because it's now digital, those receipts are Vera assets. And that's a very powerful combination. Mobility, Vera assets, and full redeemability. You send the token back to us, give us your address, we ship the gold to you if you pass the MOKYC.
So how's the security on that? So for example, you look at an ETF, for example, and they put out how many paper contracts in one piece of gold, right? Then, well, people want to reclaim their gold and they don't have their gold.
Well, which ETF does that?
Well, for example, GLD, you cannot redeem your gold from GLD. Whereas, let's say Purpose, you can redeem it Purpose and you can get your gold.
But those are the business models of trust though. GLD is not redeemable because that's not their business model.
GLD is also very, very tight-lipped about how much gold they actually have and where they got it from, where it is. And
well, I'm not, as you can,
right, so
as you can ask my partner here, I'm not a GLD fan, okay?
Right.
But GLD is the most liquid gold field.
I am a big fan.
So the issue with GLD is, again,
but no one knows
there's no correlation
whether it's
between
paper
a unit
or
and
physical
actual gold.
Right,
But GLD is for traders,
right.
okay? It's a decaying asset, it's for traders. It's not for someone who wants to actually store something long term. If you want to store it long term, you either buy gold or you do something like the very token.
But so that's what he's asking is if I hold a Veritasium token, tokenized gold asset, right?
By the way, does anybody
And
want to
I'm
see that token? I mean, Keith, does everybody help go for?
Can I take it home?
You can take it home, that'd be 50,000 plus tax.
So what he's asking is that you have, so there's gold somewhere in the vault somewhere, right? And now I have a token for this gold. What is the actual verification process, and is there an audit of the vaults? For example, again, Purpose Gold ETF is audited every single month. They have the ability to audit it randomly at any time, one day notice.
And for example, in a place like Utimco where you have cameras and chips that have their eyes on every single piece of gold in their vault so that you know all the time.
That's a false sense of security, honestly. You put a camera on the chip.
Held in the Royal Bank of Canada.
Yeah, you don't know if that's your gold. Okay, actually, it's a
Well, the
security
gold is
risk.
fungible, so.
But it's fun, but you don't know if the gold. Having a camera on gold tells you nothing.
But not
there's
having a camera
tells you the
less.
exact same thing. No, it doesn't. It tells you the exact same thing. To find out if the gold is real, redeem it. It's just that simple. You redeem it, you ship the gold to you. You satisfied with it,
So it is always redeemable.
100% redeemable. It's the title of the poll. You simply redeem it. You just have to pass the AML KYC. If you use the same public address that you used when you bought it, you don't have to KYC. It's a very, very simple business model. Okay, you don't have to go through anything. You have your doubts, take your gold. And we're actually not in the gold business. We're a financial advisory and technology provider.
How are gold storage costs factored into?
They're paid up for a minimum of 3 years. Could be more, but a minimum of 3 years. You have a choice of letting it decay into the gold, like the business normally does, or purchasing a new series of tokens.
Interesting.
So if I can interject, we're also filming this right before a meetup. So we're gonna wrap this up and just have closing thoughts because we want Reggie to present to the locals here in Las Vegas and some attendees, and then we also have the Tour de Crypto team that is here to share their stories.
Okay.
Closing thoughts.
You want me to wrap up or everybody else to wrap up?
Well, everybody's like.
I'm really excited about the innovations on the market. I'm always excited about what comes next because we are in, even though the market's been around since around 2008, 2009 now, it is an infant market still because in the last few years we've seen a mass fluctuation of usership and new ideas come out of this market, and we are looking forward to massive innovations on the market, the likes of which we have never seen before. And I'm very excited about what it's going to look like even a year from now, because 1 year ago I wouldn't have known what it would look like today. It's just such a fast-moving market that I'm very excited to hear of the ideas of Veritasium, what's next with Litecoin from Charlie Lee here at the conference. I'm just excited, and I think everyone else should be, because we've never seen anything like this in history. We have something that's moving at this rate, at this speed, in such a small amount of time. I think the only thing we've seen even somewhat similar to this was the internet. And this is kind of like the internet on steroids. So I'm very excited for that.
2 comments from me. I'm one of the few baby boomers in this industry. The baby boomers is probably the largest source of liquid capital in the United States right now. There are no baby boomers that are interested in this as of yet, or very few. I think one of the objectives of Veritasium is to get my generation interested in cryptos. And with all due respect to everybody here who lives in Nevada, I think it was a very bad idea to hold this in Las Vegas. Most of my contemporaries said, take back, typical this whole crypto industry, Sin City, you're going to Las Vegas, it's a bad image. Convention, you're gonna laugh, should have been held in St. Louis or Cleveland. I think that there's a lot of bad image about this industry, and conferences should not be held in Las Vegas, depending on how people want to clean up the image. Again, no offense to anybody who lives in Nevada, I'm not doing anything, but image is a very, very important part of any industry.
Right, and you're saying that they're targeting the wrong crowd, right?
No. There were a lot of people here with the right crowd. It's just sends a bad image out there. Oh, another cryptocurrency convention in Las Vegas, another party in Vegas.
Well, in defense of Vegas, I will say this, the whole world comes here.
Well, that's not my point.
But it is great to see all of the innovation in the space today. I saw some very interesting it's very cool. Just on the cusp of the total revolution of asset management and individualization of control over our financial lives. So I think it's pretty amazing.
What we do need is we need to increase the bar. Entities who are looking for capital. I've listened to a lot of pitches lately. The best pitch today, close up, completely. The best pitch today came from a baby boomer, actually. And he had a big hole in his presentation. He said, our competitors are just going to go out of business. That's not a compelling story. Even though he had a strong team.
And he's a very sophisticated presenter, right?
Yeah, but I would think that if you go through 15 presenters, 3 or 4, 2 or 3 should knock it out the park. The vast majority should be competent. 1 or 2 may mess up. I have yet to hear a presentation that not only blew me out of socks. I've yet to hear a presentation that I said I really, really want to follow up and put money into that. And after maybe 80 to 90 presentations, that's not good. So you have to raise the bar. Anybody's looking for money, the first thing you do is You go to the investor and you tell them how they're gonna make money. Number one, you have 15 seconds of his attention. I don't really want to hear what your team looks like and what the product is selling. If it's a financial deal, you put the finances up front. If it makes sense, then you backfill with the team and capabilities and product itself. I would hear people talk for an hour and never get to what they're there for.
Capture my attention.
Exactly. And do it credibly. So that's one mistake that's been made consistently. Silicon Valley, New York City, Vegas, everywhere I've been. Florida.
One thing that did capture my attention was actually your speech. I mean, I've been following Veritasium for a long time. Both of us we have like serious FOMO for it. So you did a really good job explaining it, and I think it's a really good project that can really help a lot of people store their wealth and the value of it in just like the Veritasium tokens, the quantum passport, and then the just to say the first thing. Oh, speak up, sorry.
Alright, close it. Oh,
Was that my little 2 cents? Like you, I was taken aback meeting this man and how much a genius he was. And I'm sure all his followers feel the same way. But he's truly, truly a genius. He can really put things together. And so he got me all into this, and I've been in it for a year and a half. And I'm trying to run away from it, but it's like he's got a terrible hold on me that I can't even do anything else.
You can't run away now. You just gave yourself a promotion.
Exactly. So it's, you know, what we're doing at Veritasium is really on the cutting edge. It's really something to look at. So don't be left behind. Just get on board. Follow this man.
We're in the very early stages. This last boom excitement that everyone's reminiscing on will come back again tenfold. It may not happen tomorrow, and certainly things don't happen overnight. It really takes true grit, hard work, determination to build something that really brings value. And the goal here is to keep focused on continually doing good, because just waiting and watching is...
You get the point. You got
You got it.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us, and yeah.
Is there anybody on the, how many?
89 and 17 likes.
Nice job. It's too late. I don't know. It'll
be ready in about 5 minutes.
Temper.
Oh, I appreciate it. As far as the structure of the...
Oh, should I?
Oh.
Is it still going? Yeah, you're going and, who wants to pay the ad?
Yeah, just walk.
Yeah, just walk through them and talk to people. Tell everybody, hit the like button and hit the share button. Do it now. There should be hundreds of people on simultaneously.
Like, subscribe, tick the little bell so you get our notifications. Tune in every day.
Okay. Anybody who self-promotes, they're old. No, that's the bad token.
Veritasium, baby, get it. Hey, what's going on?
What's going on? How
At
are
the
you?
meetup, excited to meet Reggie and the team, everyone here. If you guys like the video, have fun. World CryptoCon's been great. Like, subscribe, take a little comment so you guys get notifications. Let's blow it up. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. And we have Andrew here with the crew. How you guys doing?
These are my friends. I was telling them about the... What was I telling you guys? I work with Pool. She's our K1C AML person.
You guys like to share anything with our viewers? We still have folks watching us. We're streaming live.
From Vegas. Yeah, having a great time here. It's great.
You guys are all locals?
I'm a local, yeah. You're local?
Okay, first cryptocurrency event?
Yes.
Oh, what did you think of it?
I didn't go, this is the first aspect of it.
Okay.
I didn't get to go to any of the events, unfortunately. Next year.
And you guys are into crypto yet?
Yeah, trading.
Oh, trading. Oh, very cool. Very cool. And would you like to say anything before
I think I'm good.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I did a contract here. I'm from I learned the same way for me, but when I was there, 20 minutes out of now everybody knows what's out of the water.